think we are now pretty much unblocked because if we have now picked one of the ideas, and because we picked one of the ideas, I'm quite sure that we also approved on that we will be building a demo. So the next thing we will have to work on is the user story / the things to demo in a way that it makes more sense and makes it easier to actually start doing things. So figure out the user stories. How should we work on that? Does anyone have any ideas? Should we work on the Google Doc again, or any other ideas?
If we want to order them after it, maybe a Google Doc is not the easier one. Maybe something like an Excel. I mean, we can order them. We can add some points for the weight or priority.
Yeah.
Just an idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can add some attributes.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, that a spreadsheet might be easier. Also, it cannot contain as much of like metadata around the.
Yeah.
So I will create a spreadsheet for this and describe what we will need to do, and then we can work on that probably after the call. So we don't have to spend the time on the call for doing that.
Okay.
So the other thing we need to work on is the new issue. So I wanted to just ask Gabor, do you know which issue queue do we need to create that on?
I think it's still the IDS queue.
So it's IDS queue, and is this a new idea or is it a plan?
I think we should post it as a plan, and if they somehow want to have an idea that they can mark approved, then we can later add a new idea just so that we can mark it fixed.
Yeah, because even the team issue and the content issue, they never got marked fixed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so we would have to do the same with those as well.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah, in case they want to do that. But for now, I will just create a new plan issue. So just was there some other things that we needed to work on the previous call, or did I forget some of them?
We could go to the feedback that they gave maybe before continuing with other things that we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, with the feedback that they write it on the Google Docs, the previous one, what Dries said and what Angie said, for example. I mean, it's just because I think I lost some of the feedback, and maybe just reviewing the most important one could be useful.
Yeah. So, Gabor, do you want to summarize the feedback, or because I think you are good at that?
Okay. So I think the feed. So we reviewed both proposals for Farmers Market and the magazine, and I think the feedback was that the magazine is in. So we've done a round of voting, and that we almost unanimously agreed that the magazine was better to demonstrate a more wide range of features in Drupal. And if we and I think we also decided it would be a food magazine to remove any possible bike shedding of making it a tech magazine or an auto magazine or a sports magazine or whatever. And so there was a lot of discussion around which features to prioritize to demonstrate. And I think we agreed on that we both need to demonstrate features for content creators, like how they would edit some kind of content, like in-place editing, and edit the main edit forms themselves, as well as for site builders, like how do you create views and content types and that kind of stuff. Or not how you create, but at least that how you structure your pages with them by making them available in the demo. So that was clear. We did not clearly pick either the content creator or the site builder because I think we agreed that we need to cater for both. And we've also discussed a lot if we want to augment this site with some kind of guiding thing, either with a tour module or some other way to help people explore what we have, whether to have that in the content or whether to have that something out of the content, like videos or the tour module or something else. But we mostly agree that would be a lot of work and not an immediate priority. It's not a must-have at all for the initial build.
Okay.
That's something to think about for the future. And we also agreed that we would love to have something in core soon, even if it's simple, and we could iterate on it because it's proposed as an experimental install profile, so we don't need to make it perfect. Out of the gate, we could add something that starts working and then perfect it for a few months as time is available. So we would hopefully be able to get something in 8.4 early and then iterate on it instead of working in our own hidden corner and trying to make it perfect. Any other thing that I missed, Larry or Keith?
That I could think of. Anything, Keith?
I think that was pretty much everything. Probably just sorry, I had to answer the call. The only thing, if you didn't already mention it, was just around which features we're focusing in on to start with the MVP, and obviously discussion around whether core can do it. If the design implies that it can't, we need to think about that.
Yeah, we agreed on the centering that around user stories instead of like module names or something to figure out what we want to cover. And by the way, it's recorded, so it's going to be available if you want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already available, but it's not yet. No, it is already fully processed by YouTube, so it's available and can be watched.
So
if I missed anything, or if we will have disagreements later on what we agreed on, then we now have a recording. It's cool.
yeah, so I'm just now checking both of the issues. So the team issue does have a very detailed roadmap, but the default content does not have that much detailed roadmap. And I think that's something that I probably have to work on to try to have a good roadmap on both the default content and the installation on the team, and then also the third issue that we have, which is the meta issue, so that we can kind of get all of these issues up to date. Because I feel like these issues are missing some of the information that we have discussed on these calls. Do you agree? Or is it something we should work on?
Yeah, it has sense.
Yeah. Also, another thing I wanted to ask, there is a choosing a designers and creating initial design, which requires a 2 weeks period and motivation and portfolio and things for choosing a designer. Do we want to change that a little bit, or does anyone else has? Because I feel like Keith has been doing amazing work, and I feel like that might be unnecessary. But on the other hand, I don't want to like make the community angry because of we just let one designer to do everything, and it was kind of happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you that I wouldn't have any doubt about who should do that, but I also think that it should be at least, we should give at least an opportunity to someone else. I don't know how, but at least that, as you said, that we don't work, that people can say that we are working behind the scenes. I don't know what's the best way,
Yes,
but
because these things are not on the issue, at least, even though it's on a public channel and all of that.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up needing more than 2 weeks, if that's the case, because it takes a while for things like this to even get on people's radar, and most of this process is kind of dragged on a bit. So people who were interested in it months ago have probably forgotten about it, and it'll probably take them a while to see that things are actually making progress.
yeah, I also will send some direct invitations to some people that we might know that they could fit on the designer's place.
Yeah. On the other hand,
one more thing to keep in mind with this is I think that the actual content itself is such a big part of the design. I'm just aware that that's quite a bit of work as well. So it's worth bearing that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So just about, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. When you say designing content, you mean generating content or the structure of the content that we should have?
I mean that, yeah, exactly. We're gonna if we're going with the publishing, then for example, you want the magazine to be a convincing looking magazine, and we want that to be effectively free of any copyright issues. So it's mocking up those types of visuals as well, and thinking about where we're going to source the images from, because obviously if we go stock, you know, are they genuinely free? If we take them ourselves, then we know where they're from. We know what, you know. We know where they're coming from. So I'm not saying that blocks us in any way in opening up the design conversation. I'm just saying it's such a big part of it to be, you know, from the brief perspective, it's a really big part of it, because you design around that content for a magazine.
Yeah. So I think we can now. So I heard that we agree that we should have some kind of opening for finding potential candidates, and yeah, is that what we agree on?
Yeah, I agree with that.
No problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and I could work on the briefing for the designers, because now we have the idea that we are building on, so it will be possible to even create the briefing now. Before that, I don't think it was possible. Is a 2 weeks period okay with everyone that we have decided on earlier on? Because that allows us to move quickly. I think 2 weeks should be enough, but
no, I think we need more time than that.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm afraid I am going to have to go. Sorry, I have to leave early.
That's all right.
Thanks everybody, and I'll catch up with this on YouTube.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So let's say if we wait for designers for 4 weeks or 3 weeks, do we want to halt the process for like 3 or 4 weeks when we are looking for a designer? Whereas like at the moment we've been able to move pretty quickly because Keith has been providing us materials all the time.
Well, I mean, the issue for me really is that we did have a long period of time where parts of this kind of lost momentum. So if you had been interested at all as a designer, you were probably interested in like December, November, and this may have fallen off your radar. So if we were to say, let's say you posted something today, is everyone who's interested going to see it in the next week or two?
Yeah. Difficult.
Yeah. I think.
So what do we want out of the 2 weeks? Like proposals from designers, or we want designers to say they are interested, or what do we want in 2 weeks?
So we wanted to have a design lead on this design, so that we've agreed with the community that there's one person who will be responsible for the design and who will have the final say on the design.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's not a community process of creating design, so that we bike shed on every detail on the issue queue, like which color should we use. And in order to make it accessible for everyone, we wanted to have this period of time where anyone could apply to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And what we require from these design leads is a motivation and a portfolio. So it's just a motivation letter, like why do they want to do this? So we know a little bit of their thoughts, why they like. If someone says that they want to do it because if they think they can get money out of it, let's say, that's not we are unable to pay for them. So that's not a good motivation to do that necessarily. Instead, if someone tells that they have other reasons why they want to do it, that's a good motivation. Then also portfolio, just to see what have they done. And then after that, we would have a feedback session with most potential candidates. The first idea was to involve product management with that, but Angie and Dries say that they are not interested in that. So I will remove that so that it's not with the product management, but it's only with the team. So most likely that should be a private meeting. I don't think it should be public because that might be a bit awkward for the designers if it's a public conversation. And the idea on that is to explain like our community a little bit, if they are new to the community, and like explain what are they like up to, and see if like our expectations align. And if it seems like it's a good fit, then we can pick that potential candidate. And yeah, then after that, we've decided a design name. We can actually proceed to creating the design.
I still think that maybe 2 weeks is not enough. Maybe not only because of the things that they should prepare for presenting to that themselves to that, but also what Gabor was saying, that the momentum has passed, and to reach all that people again, we probably should be moving it for some time, and after that maybe that arrives to more people. So 2 weeks.
So let's say if we publish today that we will have this happening, open up from next Wednesday on for 2 weeks. That would give 3 weeks of time to reach the people, because we are unable to submit it today or even tomorrow, or yeah,
that's right. Yeah, but they could not read anywhere what are you asking for.
Yeah, but it's like they could know what to expect for, at least like the people who has been initially interested in this, they could like see what's the progress so far and like at least see that something's happening again.
Yeah.
And about the motivation and portfolio, like we want to keep it as light as possible. So like it shouldn't be too much of work from a designer to apply on this. So I think most of the designers, they would have some kind of a portfolio already. And about the motivation letter, it's just like we will have to create the briefing
questions?
in a way that we make sure that they understand that they don't have to invest substantial amount of work to apply on this thing. Like it should be very easy process for the designers to apply on this.
Okay.
Like I feel like it's more of a thing that the designer would spend 30 minutes to 1 hour than half a day, so that we can at least see something about these people. And it might be that we know most of the people that will apply or not, or it might be also that no one applies. Like that's also something that could happen. And I think, and that gives us like more freedom, let's say, to pick who will do so, because no one, like we don't have to say no for anyone.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should decide how many time we give.
So do you still think that 2 weeks is too short? Even if we like postpone that, like if we post today that it will happen in 1 week or something like that? I think David was making that point.
Sorry, I'm not clear what you were suggesting.
That we post today on the issue, that we will proceed on the next phase, which is the finding potential candidates, so that any people who has been aware of this issue, this idea beforehand, could see that. We can also say that on the Slack. And then we will open the issue next week. People will know that ahead of time, 1 week ahead of that will happen at that time. And then they could send their motivation and portfolio during the next 2 weeks from that on.
Okay, so a prior notice now, and then next week, open a window for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that gives a total of 3 weeks, because otherwise because it's anyway going to happen next week. And then if we extend the time for 3 or 4 weeks, that could mean like over a month of waiting.
Sure. And you're saying, but during that 2 week period, are we saying that people have to have the portfolio and everything, or just that they have to give us notice?
They should have the portfolio and motivation. But again, I feel like, so this is also based on the feedback that I got from Bojan and I think Roy when we created this process, was that they say that this should be easy for any designer to provide.
Okay.
Yeah, because like, let's say if you're a designer and if you try to get any project, you would have to have this kind of material every time. So they are used to providing this kind of materials for the clients.
Right.
So it should be something that they mostly have beforehand.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So that it doesn't, and like I said earlier, I think we thought that it will be more like a half an hour to 1 hour amount of work for anyone to apply than any more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take a lot of work for anyone to set up a portfolio or anything. My only concern is just making sure that we, more communication-wise, that we make sure we reach all the people that we need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could ask for help to Frontend United and design for Drupal accounts and accounts like that.
So
Yeah,
I think
they could probably like send an email out to their the people who are normally register for the camp.
Yeah, right.
And on the Drupal Tweak Slack, like if we look at the general channel, there's like almost 700 people. So we could potentially like advertise on there as well.
Sure.
So
Yes.
that was the create new user-facing team. Is there anything we need to discuss on the example content? There is no one who has been actively working on the example content on the call today. So probably not much to discuss on
What
that.
is the
Then.
status of that? Like, I don't even know where that project is or what it's doing. Like, is there actually any example content?
So we agreed on the previous call that we will create a new meta issue, which is a out-of-the-box experience initiative. We don't have a better name for that yet. So which will contain the default content and the theme. And we will work on these two things together. So
But
that
for the example content or default content, whatever, has there been any kind of actual development progress, or has it only just been people discussing on issues?
there has been a lot of work happening around the example content. And what has been the most recent work is getting one of the ideas for the content, for the like example content ideas, like what could be the topic. And we got that approved today. So we have we have now the publishing company idea approved, and now the team can start working on the fetching out like what are the things we need to demo and what are the requirements for the content model. So it has been a little bit backwards because of the idea that people were at some point working on a content model for the farmers market. And there was even like technical type of work happening. So some coding on a sandbox, I guess. Now, because of the because there was a little bit of hesitation for the farmers market idea, for the from the product management, we went a few steps backwards and decided on one of the other topics that we had as a potential. And I'm looking at the install example content issue summary. It still proposes to use to use the farmers market as the scenario. So we definitely need to update that. There's also 0 comments on that idea. Gabor, was there other issue about this as well? Because I think I've seen other issue of this as well. Oh yeah, it's listed on the issue summary as well.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. I'm gonna link that on the Slack.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's an old one.
So we have these two.
Yeah,
We
that's only,
mark them as a duplicate.
it's only 10.5 years old. So.
Oh, other one is proposing to add sample content to standard install profile. This one is proposing to add example content to experimental install profile.
Yeah.
So should we mark other one as a duplicate?
If you think that this one has more value, yes.
So the other one with the comments would make sense to probably keep that. No, because of this is very old discussion from 2000.
Yeah.
So the reason why I would like to close the other one is because of like if we try to gain momentum, it's not nice that the comments are on two issues and then people are discussing separately, because it seems like the discussion is now happening on the other issue than the one that is linked to the create a new user-facing core team. So that can create a confusion, and like David said, that it looks like there's nothing happening around that, and if you look at the issue that is linked to the team issue, there's like 0 comments on that, but there's comments on the other issue. So yeah. So which one should we close? Should we close the old one or the new one?
Yeah, I think the only reason to keep the old one would be fun marketing, that we finally managed to solve an issue 11 years after the fact. But otherwise, other than that, I don't see practical reasons to keep the old one.
Yeah.
We can also say we solved it once we solve the other one, then we can sort of say we solved this one too. So
yeah. So probably that's a good idea to save the old one just for the legacy reasons.
for the fun.
Yeah.
If we want to, but if we have more value on the other issue, then
Well, there's no comments on the other issue at all. So it's
Okay.
just the issue summary.
yeah, so we can move it over here.
Yeah. That makes sense. There's probably no other update on the installation profile, but the next thing that we will need to work on is the user stories, and then after that we can start working on the content model. I haven't. So Gabor, do you know if Kevin is still working on that, or because I haven't seen him for a while?
I'm not sure he does.
Okay.
I'm looking at it.
I'm just wondering, like, if I should wait for him to update these things on the issue summary, or if I should just go ahead and do it.
I think it's fine for you to go ahead.
Because of like, he was proposing to do it with the farmers market. Now I'm just going to change it. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna do so. Yeah. So I'm gonna copy this on the old issue and change the proposed resolution. Yeah. Any other things we need to discuss today? I guess no.
Not for me.
Yeah, not for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all for today. It's been a long meeting for me, at least now. So thanks for everyone showing up. And I will work on writing the issue summaries and creating the new issue. That will take a while from me. So
Perfect.
and I will post also on the Slack that we've decided on an idea, and we will have a opening happening at some point next week, most likely. So I will create the briefing, and it would be nice if I could get some feedback, especially from you, Christina. I will also ask feedback from Roy and Boyan, and maybe Keith could have some feedback on that as well. So
Okay.
that's something that we could work on in the meanwhile, before next week's call,
Great.
creating the briefing and the opening. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it besides the user stories. So I will create a Google Sheet for the user stories and post it on the Slack.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
They're moving.
It is.
Yeah.
So things are finally starting to get concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not,
Great.
Thanks
now
for
it's not
holding on to
only
this.
ideation. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You
How are
too.
you?